The show goes on. Welcome to a brand new episode of The Official Show here on the Fish on First podcast channel, bringing you complete Miami Marlins coverage all year round. I'm Eli Sussman, the founder of Fish on First. Thank you for tuning in. Happy holidays and go Canes. Very happy to see my alma mater, the University of Miami, advancing in the college football playoff. Believe it or not, we do have a lot of baseball to cover on this show. Coming up, an exclusive interview between myself and the president and general manager of the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, Matt Goudreau. It was great learning about the business side of a AAA minor league affiliate and one that had so much success this past year. You're really going to enjoy getting his perspective on that aspect of the job. This podcast is brought to you by Jet Ski Rentals of South Florida, offering Miami's best jet ski and boat adventures. With 6 jet ski locations and over 120 boats, there's something for every style and every budget. With Christmas and New Year's around the corner, boats fill up fast. Everyone wants that view of the fireworks from the water. They're reservation-based only. To inquire, call 305-990-2192 or check them out online at sfjetskirentals.com. Again, that's 305-990-2192 or online at sfjetskirentals.com. We're going to be showing their information, scrolling across the bottom of the screen throughout the entire show so that you don't forget it. Support the people that support us and treat yourself to a great time this holiday season and beyond. Before getting to the interview, we got to start off with Edward Cabrera, because I feel we're at the stage of the offseason where it's incomplete for the Marlins. I don't think we can render a judgment on this offseason until we find out what, if anything, happens with Cabrera, the very talented right-hander coming off the best year of his career. And he has been on and off in rumors essentially since Peter Bendix took over as Marlins president of baseball operations. And this is at a moment where his value is much higher than it had been at any other point the past couple of years. Is it high enough for the Marlins to actually pull the trigger to swap him out for, in all likelihood, multiple other players that could address positions where they have a greater need than the starting rotation, which is an area of strength for them? I want to focus on him now because we now have a good point of reference in terms of what his value would be on the market, seeing as how the Rays and the Orioles made a trade just a couple days ago. Shane Baz going to Baltimore for what is going to be a 5-player return for Shane Baz. Really? So I think, like a lot of other people, I was taken aback by how much this return was for Baz. I guess the co-headliners in this case, catcher Caden Bodine and outfielder Slater DeBrun, both going from Baltimore to Tampa Bay. And overall, 5 assets in this package, also including a right-hander Michael Ferret, outfielder Austin Overn, and a competitive balance round A pick in the upcoming draft, which is currently slated to be number 33 overall. So all these players that are still quite a while away from the big leagues, none of whom would be consensus top 100 MLB prospects, but in Bodine and DeBrun, those are players that are kind of knocking on the door of that honor, depending on how their 2026 season goes. And with Baz, it's so relevant to Eddie because they're very similar in age. Baz is about a year younger, and they're both 3 years away from free agency. So Baz is entering his first year of arbitration eligibility. Cabrera is entering his second, but he got there a year early. So both are under team control through 2028. Their salaries are going to be very similar for this upcoming season. And both of them have kind of been in that interesting spot for a few years now where they hadn't quite reached their potential. Baz was actually held in even higher regard as a prospect than Cabrera ever was. And yet he's coming off a season in particular in 2025 where, although he was healthy, he wasn't particularly effective. It was an ERA in the high 4s for Baz in Tampa Bay, had a big issue with home runs this past season. And although he was durable, just wasn't in the middle of all that success. He was throwing a decent amount of strikes, but not getting the results that his team really needed. And he's the guy that's missed quite a bit of time due to Tommy John surgery. This was the only full year of his career to this point, and the results weren't there. And yet the Orioles are willing to give up, even if none of their elite prospects, still a ton of depth that when you add it all together is a really sizable chunk of assets going back to Tampa Bay. And it got me thinking about how Baz and Cabrera kind of compare to one another. So I made this side-by-side graphic for those of you watching on either YouTube or Twitter that looks at the similarities and differences. In most categories, it goes in Eddie's favor. He has the advantage in terms of baseball reference WAR, 7.2 to 3.1 over the course of his career. It's a lot tighter if you look at Fangraphs WAR, which is based on fielder independent pitching. It's almost a dead heat between them over the course of their careers to this point. Even though Cabrera has had plenty of durability issues, he hasn't had that long-term sidelined situation such as Tommy John. So overall, he's been able to make an additional 33 starts. He's been able to pitch about 50% more innings over the course of his big league career. In terms of ERA, Cabrera about 0.2 of a run better, but the gap is wider if you actually adjust for ballpark factors. That gap is Cabrera being 8% better than league average in terms of ERA, and Baz being 5% worse than the league average in terms of ERA. Overall, though, it's the differences aren't that big, except in terms of total volume and then this most recent season. But you look under the hood and at their FIP, and Baz actually does have a lower career FIP to this point, 4.28 to Cabrera's 4.45. And I think this offseason especially has kind of driven home the fact that teams are prioritizing that over earned run average, especially in smaller samples. We've seen in free agency guys like Devin Williams coming off a bad year, Ryan Helsley coming off a very uneven year and still get paid premium for their position. Dylan Cease being the best example by far, getting over $200 million from the Toronto Blue Jays, even though he was kind of the epitome of average from a run prevention standpoint this past year. This offseason has been sort of a reckoning of that and really showing where not just the smart teams stand, but where I think the majority of teams stand in terms of how they value players moving forward. They're going to look at the under the hood stuff first, and then maybe make adjustments if you have a history of really overachieving your fielder independent pitching, which Cabrera to an extent actually does. And he did again slightly this past year. This past year, though, it was kind of in all fronts. It was a big step forward for Eddie, looking like a pretty prototypical number 3 starter for a competitive team. And in the case of the Marlins, he was their most valuable overall starter this past year because of Sandy Alcantara struggles, because of time missed due to injury from Yuri Perez and Ryan Weathers. So, Eddie this past year did a lot to improve his stock. I don't think it dramatically changes how other teams view him, though. In terms of the actual way that these guys approach hitters, it's also pretty similar. Both of them have fastballs that average 97 miles per hour this past year. Cabrera has his most standout secondary pitches being his changeup and his curveball. And Baz also has a very nice curveball. He has a cutter more so than Eddie's slider. But both of them have strong 4-pitch mixes. Cabrera occasionally still throws that sinker as a 5th pitch to keep people off balance and to get a little more ground balls. And I the more that I looked at it, I think the gap between them is minimal, if at all. I think there still is a gap because I do think teams still prioritize the most recent season a lot. And for Cabrera, that was a significant step forward for him, most especially in terms of just strike throwing. So overall, his walk rate for his career is still quite a bit higher than Baz's is. And I think this past year, is more so a dead heat between them in that category. But the fact that he was able to make that improvement, I think that would do enough to elevate his value above Baz. But I think there's still some question about where Cabrera's ceiling actually is. Like, how much better is he really going to get than where he is right now? Right now he's an above average major league starting pitcher, and that's nothing to sneeze at. But I've been somebody in the past that has been totally indifferent to the idea of potentially moving on from Cabrera because I didn't see that ace upside the way that I think a lot of other people did, and I still don't. I still think that his upside is a little bit higher than it is right now. There's still room to improve. But this past year, he checked a lot of boxes in terms of working deep into games, but not so deep. He's not someone that's ever going to go the distance, I don't think, with precious few exceptions. He's still somebody that is going to battle off and on efficiency concerns with his pitches. But I'll keep saying, it was a step forward this past year in a way that if it's a team that's hell bent on winning in 2026 that you would think that would boost his value quite a bit. But this comes down to the reality that the Orioles were interested in Cabrera, that the Orioles were having negotiations with the Marlins prior to swinging this deal, and they didn't do it. And the simple question of why they wouldn't do it, I think, is pretty apparent. That if he was available at the same price that Boz was, if he was available for the same package, then a deal would have been done, and they would have gone with the guy that has this very recent track record of being a good performing big league starting pitcher. They would value that higher. And all things being equal, they would go with Cabrera. But clearly things were not equal. And that's why they moved down the priority list to somebody like Boz. And we haven't really gotten clearly defined terms in terms of what the Marlins are looking for Eddie, but it's been enough that there really hasn't been any deal close to being finalized this entire offseason, even though Cabrera's availability has been well known, even though he was available dating back to the last trade deadline. At least then there were a clear idea of what sort of pieces the Marlins were looking for in return. And so going back to this trade package, it's a unique structure to get 5 real assets in a kind of deal. This is certainly a quantity over quality type of deal. You don't see it very often, a 5-for-1 sort of deal. So I think naturally looking ahead to this one, you need to assume the structure that the Marlins are looking for. It's going to be a little bit different, where they're going to look for a clearer centerpiece and overall a better centerpiece than was one that changed hands in the course of this Shane Baz trade. So, but all things considered, maybe Cabrera's value, I'd estimate it 5% higher than Shane Baz, maybe 10%. But if the Marlins are looking for more than that, which is, I see by all indications they are, that's kind of why we haven't seen any movement to this point, because the Marlins are standing firm on this idea of asking for the moon and the stars, when maybe the moon and 1 star would be enough right here in return for Eddie. I would still lean towards the likelihood that he does get traded over the course of this offseason. Eventually, the Marlins, I think, are going to pull back a little bit, just acknowledging the inconsistencies in Cabrera's history when it comes to throwing strikes and staying healthy. Even this past season, he had 2 separate IL stints, one for a blister, and then one more concerningly for an elbow sprain. I was really surprised to see that he actually returned to the mound by the end of the season. And although I would think that would help his value quite a bit rather than just ending the season on the IL, it doesn't mean that I don't think teams are fully convinced that he's going to be over these elbow scares moving forward. That maybe for a guy that has made it this far without undergoing Tommy John, that over these next few years, it's a distinct possibility that one pitch pushes that ligament too far and he ends up missing a year or more of these 3 remaining years of club control. So I think ultimately, I don't think fans should be all that outraged, for example, if they do wind up with the Shane Baz package in trading Eddie, if they wind up with a deal that doesn't have a clear-cut top 100 guy and one that also has players that are a little bit removed from being big league ready. I don't, as we saw just this past offseason in the Jesus Luzardo trade, I think this is almost the exact anniversary of that trade. Marlins got a couple guys that are several years away from the big leagues in return. That's Peter Bendix's style. He's going to look for the best value he can get, regardless of all other factors. That if you just accrue enough surplus value in your organization, that's going to give you the resources you need to address specific needs. So there's been this theory that the Marlins may address first base in the Cabrera trade, looking for whether it's Kobe Mayo in Baltimore or Tristan Casas in Boston, guys that are very obviously available and have the power profile that gets you really excited from a first baseman, guys that are even cheaper from a salary standpoint and have several years of club control. It's possible, but I don't think the Marlins are going to be that close-minded about it. And but I think that's the way that this ultimately gets done, is the fact that they're willing to accept a wide variety of potential packages in return. And eventually one of those is going to come close enough to the original asking price to get it done. But yeah, just to put a exclamation point on this really has been the theme of the off season, where teams are showing that they're not going to be beholden by the run prevention results that pitchers have had recently. They're going to look a lot deeper than that, and in some cases make moves that are counterintuitive to that, even really investing a lot in guys that have questionable run prevention histories, and just bet on the fact that their underlying skills are going to take over moving forward, and that those results could look a lot different moving forward. We'll continue to monitor this, of course, but I thought a very interesting topic to explore. So whether it's Cabrera, maybe nobody does get close enough to the asking price, and the Marlins end up trading a different starting pitcher, one that doesn't have quite as much overall value, but still is could be used to address other areas of the organization. Still a long way to go with this. I mentioned it on the site that I don't think we see movement here until there's more free agent signings from a starting pitching standpoint. I don't think we see anything before the turn of the calendar into January, a couple of weeks away before this might get moving. This is a patient front office. They really are. They're not going to be intimidated by public pressure of any kind. They're going to wait until they get the deal that they want right here. And it's an awkward situation for Eddie, for sure. I mean, all he did was perform well this past year, and yet that gets him right in the middle of all these rumors. But it's going to be a fascinating saga to continue following right here. And ultimately, we really do have to reserve judgment on what the Marlins are doing until we see exactly what happens in this particular case. So without further ado, we can now get to my interview with Matt Goudreau, the president and general manager of the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, talking about what goes on running a business, which is ultimately what any minor league team is. This one being an exceptionally successful one, just had an ownership change in Jacksonville for the first time in many years and first time in over a decade. So we get into the ramifications of that. Of course, we reflect on the Jumbo Shrimp winning not only the International League Championship, but the AAA National Championship, and what, if anything, that does from a variety of angles when it comes to running that team moving forward. Sit back and enjoy this interview, and then I'll come back at the end. We're going to go taking a swim around the diamond and highlighting other content outside of Fish on First that I think Marlins fans would be very interested in. So enjoy the interview. Stick around for the final segment. Here it is, Matt Goudreau from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. It's Eli Sussman here with you on the official show, a first-time guest on the Fish on First podcast with us, and a different sort of guest that I hope you guys will appreciate his perspective and how it very much goes hand in hand with the Marlins fan experience. Newly promoted to the position of president and general manager of the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, Matt Goudreau. Thanks a ton for making time for this conversation, Mr. President.
Of course. Happy to do it, Eli. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah. So first off, when fans of any professional sports team, they hear the title general manager, their first thought is roster construction, player acquisition. That's not really the case when it comes to a minor league baseball affiliate. It's the parent club itself that is responsible for that sort of thing. So
Right.
To start us off, could you kind of explain what you've previously been the assistant GM, if you could explain
That's
what
right.
your job responsibilities were and what you think they're going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, previously my job responsibilities fell into a few different buckets of helping oversee the stadium operations here at ViStar Ballpark and overseeing a lot of the capital planning and projects that have happened here in the last, few seasons over the last 3 years or so. We've had about $31.8 million worth of projects accomplished at the ballpark and completed, which have been awesome. And we continue to work on a few different projects going on in the ballpark currently. So the off seasons have been busy and kept us going. But I've had the opportunity to lead a lot of those projects in the past few years. Have a very good working relationship with the Marlins themselves, and being a primary contact to the team, not only throughout the season but in the off season, just kind of making sure things are ready to go and in place for the guys when they get here in March, going through the whole season. And also done a lot in the corporate sales space, helping work to fill some of the billboards in the outfield wall and theme nights that we have in the ballpark with different companies that are looking to showcase their brands here in Jacksonville with the Jumbo Shrimp. So those are kind of the primary responsibilities I had. Also helped staff a lot of the part-time staff members that would work on a Jumbo Shrimp game. So very proud to say a lot of the people that a fan might interact with when they come watch Jumbo Shrimp baseball here. Might be somebody that I helped interview and help get into their role. And, we collaboratively have tried to train and be a friendly face to be able to help you while you're getting to your seat or finding where to get a good hot dog or shrimp entree that's here in the ballpark before they enjoy the game. So those were a lot of things that I previously did. But to your point, Eli, I think it is a bit of a misconception that when you have the general manager or assistant general manager title, a lot of people think you're doing player development and scouting and constructing the roster. Mm-hmm. So I've spoken with a lot of disappointed students that have jumped on a call with me and wanted to chat about my career, that we really talk more about the business of baseball and running the nuts and bolts of, again, ticket sales and corporate partnerships, and running the event by, securing a staff to be here and running concession stands and cleaning up after ourselves afterwards, and making sure that it's all safe in the process when, thousands and thousands of Jumbo Shrimp fans are coming out to the ballpark to enjoy a game. So it's not much to do with building the team, but we certainly work with the Marlins hand in hand enough to know that we do have a part in making sure that there's success on the field and that they have all the tools that they need to do a great job and develop the players in a way that they're looking to do.
So I take it you've been based in Jacksonville even over the course of the season itself, that you're always there, or do you ever get certain occasions where you might travel with the team for a road trip, or is it always just?
I haven't historically traveled with the team on a trip, and we've had a couple of opportunities where we've taken like season ticket holders on some of our core fans. We've offered the opportunity to go on a road trip and watch the team in a different city. So those have been the times that I've traveled, but we have a travel coordinator that handles a lot of the team travel on our end here. I think once or twice maybe she's traveled with the team, but I haven't traveled yet. But that might be something that I try to change this year and see if I can go on a trip and see how everything works, so we can make sure that we're doing things to the best of our ability together. I know the team wouldn't be shy if there was something that needed to be improved on how we could work on a plan to make it better too. So, but typically haven't been the boots on the ground going on a road trip.
In the press release that went out announcing your promotion, they described you as the primary liaison to the Jacksonville coaching staff. I'm curious, what sort of questions, concerns do they have during the course of the season? What sort of things were you facilitating to make sure that things went smoothly on their end?
I think it's just making sure that things in the clubhouse and on the field are all, in good working order, and that there's a good contact to our grounds crew, and that the road trips have been going smoothly, and just general things that they may need that really come from our side, that, we're the managers of this facility. So, we work with a company, Legends, that they're actually the ones that truly oversee the facility, but we're here on a day-to-day basis. So we're the ones mostly responsible for keeping the place in good working order and ready to go when the team gets here. So it could be about something that needs to be repaired, or in the clubhouse, something that's broken, to trying to do something different on a road trip on the way that we travel, or adjusting a bus time, or, fortunately we got to talk about a lot of success this year, and how we were going to celebrate, winning the first half championship and traveling to Las Vegas and things of that nature when we were going to go for the AAA championship. So kind of a variety of questions and things can come up that, it's important for both, the team itself who are the Marlins, but, don the Jumbo Shrimp jersey when they're here, to have a strong rapport with people that, do work here full time as the Jumbo Shrimp staff, to make sure that things are working seamlessly and don't have any problems when they're coming to and from town and having their games here on site.
Got it. Moving up the chain of command a little bit to the Marlins front office, whether it's Peter Bendix or Gabe Kapler, Rachel Balkovich, do you have semi-regular communication with any of them when it comes to they're concerned about every aspect of the player development operation?
Yeah. Rachel, out of those three, is the one that's been in most contact with my position previously, and what I would expect to kind of be the primary liaison to us. But Peter and Gabe have both been here, and we get a chance to interact here and there. But Rachel, between those three, has been kind of our primary contact to making sure that we're all aligned with the vision that she has for going on down here in Jacksonville. She was here, I would say, probably 3 or 4 times over the course of the year, if not more. Might be selling her short, but she's been the one that we've talked to the most. Obviously, you have the primary contact through David Carpenter, our manager, and things like that. That's where it really all starts. But some of the other front office staff do pop in and let us know when they want to chat about something or just are here on site and we catch up.
Your time with the Jumbo Shrimp has been split almost down the middle between the first couple of years when Kim Eng was still the general manager, and now these past couple of years where Peter Bendix is the head of baseball operations, with Kapler and Rachel involved with it as well. And our fans are always constantly looking for signs of hope or just signs of actual tangible change in terms of the player development side, because things frankly weren't going all that well from that standpoint a couple of years prior to this front office overhaul. And I think they'd be interested in just hearing from kind of your perspective, if from your dealings with the Marlins organizations the last couple of years, the relationship has been the same throughout that entire period, where they've been the AAA affiliate of the Marlins throughout that period. Has there been any sort of tangible difference that sticks out to you in terms of the way that the affiliation has been these past couple of years? That whether
I guess it would
be positive or something different. I think
it would. It would be hard for me to say if there's like anything that I could point to specifically that like was a difference and like what I'm seeing being done. I'm not somebody that's in the locker room when they're coming up with a plan or setting defensive alignments in the lineup or anything like that. So I've never been connected to that in any way, and never was before, not now. But we've certainly, going into last baseball season, undeniably can see a vast improvement in the product on the field. I probably got the chance to know Carp a little bit better than I knew Darren Brown before, but I knew Darren well too. So that might also be unfair to say. But there's certainly been an energy and enthusiasm around the team that I noticed, particularly last year when we were having so much success, which was different than I had seen before. And so it's I would speculate that the focus has been contagious in a way that led to a lot of success here, particularly in Jacksonville. So I feel confident saying that I think Marlins fans should be excited about the future, especially the way that our team performed here all along the season. Again, not only being the first half champions, but then competing very hard in the second half of the season, then having a tremendous few games in late September to go ahead and win the championship. So, I mean, the future seems nothing but bright, and I can't speak anything but glowingly about the people that I've worked with here recently on the staff, and have certainly noticed an energy and enthusiasm that's been unmatched in the last couple of seasons. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's now get to the ballpark renovations that VyStar Ballpark has undergone relatively recently. Project Next, as it was called.
Absolutely.
We were following the process pretty closely these last couple of years. If you could just quickly summarize what the different elements that were involved with that.
Sure. We, over the last few years, we started off in a few different phases to accomplish a lot of good impact to improving the ballpark. The first one, was going into 2023, renovating the clubhouses. Much of the improvements began as stemming from needing to improve the ballpark from a PDL standpoint, which we're getting it up to the standards that Major League Baseball has provided in a new agreement that came in, I believe, during the 2021 season. So we're very fortunate that the city of Jacksonville partnered so well with us in being able to give us funding to upgrade the ballpark to be able to meet a lot of these standards. And we started with the locker rooms themselves. That was a place that we were deficient and wanted to improve. And we were able to renovate those 2 locker rooms over the 2023 off season, going into the year after the 2022 season, going into the year of 2023. So we were able to change out the lockers on both sides, make the visiting side particularly larger, which it had been pretty small and hadn't had many updates in the first 15 to 20 years the ballpark had existed. So it was really a full renovation of those areas. Again, changing out the lockers, carpeting, updating the restrooms and bathrooms and showers, kitchen spaces, things of that nature. So not only on the Jumbo Shrimp side, which we're proud of, is strong and looks really good, but the visiting side too has turned out to be a really nice upgrade there. Going into 2024, we were able to add ribbon boards and a new video board on the left center field wall. So we've got ribbon boards now that hang over like that section 114 to 111 and 101 to 104. Something that's probably pretty common in a major league park, and maybe a lot of other minor league parks have that too. But really enhances kind of the game experience by showcasing the score and different statistics that are going on there. And but the video board too was, I believe, about 20 to 25% larger. State of the art, crystal clear. The picture looks great on it now. So we were super excited. And then going into 2025 is really where there was a ton of noticeable, impactful difference on the ballpark too. I think a general fan that would come in is where we renovated our new center field plaza, which is now the Baptist Health Center Field Plaza. Right down kind of at the bottom of the screen there. And then the right field building is comprised of a club space with some seats that oversee the right fielder, with about 190 seats and a club space area that has a bar and kitchen and all of that connected to it, along with those kind of drink rail seats that are outside of it. So we used to have a bleacher section there, and this is certainly an upgrade to that. And below that are our front offices. So we have that area now, which is significantly larger than what it was before, for our growing team to be able to have the space to work, and also a new team store as well on the ground floor of the right field building there. Part of the center field plaza, before I skip over that, we also added 3 shrimp boats as specialty seats to the right of that batter's eye there, behind that Jacksonville postcard, that you can kind of see right when you walked in the ballpark. A really cool, striking piece. But to the right of that, which would hang right over the left center field wall, are 3 shrimp boats that we rent out for games, that people can sit up there and have a very unique experience to watch games and enjoy a great view. So it's been pretty cool. Something that we've enjoyed having as a unique piece. Feels very Jacksonville, very, very team oriented, since they're shrimp boats themselves. It was a cool, important piece that we wanted to add. But finally, another part of the project that's been very well received too has been the PNC Home Plate Club. Our former offices were off Adams Street. They're kind of on this map, probably a little bit behind the visitors on deck circles, where under the stands or where our offices used to be. And we were able to renovate that space and turn it into a high-end fan experience club, where fans that have those tickets there, when they buy a ticket, it's all inclusive food and beer and wine. So it's a pretty cool, unique space, and leads to the first 4 rows behind home plate, that about 150 seats in total, and have an unbelievable view of the game. So those fans, the fan in the first row of the home plate club is actually closer to the catcher than the pitcher is. Obviously a unique thing that you could get to say. I know a couple other ballparks have that too, but the view there of the game is unbelievable, unmatched. Anybody that sits in the seat there is completely blown away, that wants to watch the game, that watch the game as their primary focus, but really having a space that you can go to where there's a catered meal. Again, meaning that it's not just like kind of regular ballpark fare. Our food and beverage team here in Jacksonville goes above and beyond, trying to make creative menus to rotate out throughout a series, so fans that are in that space regularly are eating different kinds of foods and different themes connected to it. And again, domestic beer and wine is covered in that package too, so be able to get a drink from the bartender. Obviously, non-alcoholic beverages included with that as well. So a cool space that has multiple TVs with different games going on that they'll be able to hang out and watch while they're maybe waiting for the game to start, and then make their way out. But if they want to hang out for an extra bite or a drink during the game too, maybe if it's a little bit hot or we're getting a little bit of a rain shower, something like that, they might pop back in there and enjoy themselves. So those have been the primary things that were part of the renovation that were really cool to be part of. And I think everybody's been really excited when they've come out to the ballpark and seen them in their completion. And myself and our teams are certainly proud of how they've all turned out, and hopefully everybody else is too.
Mm-hmm. One very niche question I have is that as part of the renovations and some of the things that were added beyond the right field wall, I know that like the height of the wall in various spots changed, and that maybe some very minor alterations to the dimensions. Is that the sort of thing that you have to run by the Marlins before moving forward with it, just because it slightly changes the way that the ballpark plays and therefore the way that
we not only them but Major League Baseball. Absolutely. When we changed the dimensions of the field, Eli hit it right on the head. Yes, the Marlins particularly, but Major League Baseball as well, want to know those things and make sure that they fit into a certain specification. I think it's important to note, I think from what I learned in the process, that there aren't specific rules in place of like the distance of a certain fence or the height of a certain fence, as you can probably understand when you look at the different architecture of different major league parks and other minor league parks that you'd see. But I think generally speaking, there's more of a concept of where people are comfortable, and they want to make sure, and Major League Baseball, and I would imagine the Marlins and anybody just for the playability of the field, want to make sure that nothing really goes wildly outside of that scope, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I still appreciate the fact that this ballpark and most others are still distinct from one another, that it's not not a replica of what the Marlins have at Lone Depot Park, for example. People that watch Jumbo Shrimp games, something that was true before that is still true is how much space there is in center field. So it lends itself to a lot of triples that make games, in my opinion, more entertaining, and it gives us better gauge in terms of how much speed certain players have, both the defender and the guy that actually hit the ball. So it's as long as there's ways to still have variety and unique aspects but that everybody's comfortable with. I guess that is an interesting balancing act that you have to do to.
Yeah, hopefully I explained that well. I think that's a really, really cool part about baseball and baseball stadiums, and I think really a big reason why you probably hear a lot more of baseball fans making pilgrimages to different parks, and making it something. Oh, I want to see a bunch of different stadiums because of how unique they are and how different they all can be compared to maybe arenas that have more or less the same thing going on in the field, because the basketball court or the ice rink or the football field, they're all the same wherever you play. That I think is a very special part about baseball, is even though generally speaking the field is the same, there are unique quirks almost to every park amongst the 30 in the big leagues, and I'm sure amongst the 120 in the minors as well, and makes it fun and exciting.
Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of questions about attendance. That's a topic that comes up quite a bit for me covering the Marlins major league team. And you don't have to comment on this part of it, but people have poked fun in recent years about how on certain occasions the Jumbo Shrimp may outdraw the Marlins themselves in terms of official announced attendance on a particular day during the course of the season. More so it's just a testament to how popular the Shrimp are and what the job that you guys are doing on all fronts to keep it busy there. I'm just curious what approximate number for you qualifies as a sellout when it comes to attendance wise in this ballpark.
We're billed at, I believe, 11,000 seats, 11,000 capacity. I want to be careful with the words I use. 11,000 capacity for the ballpark, but that's quite a bit of general admission space and kind of standing room space that's in the ballpark itself. I believe we've, in certain circumstances, considered us a sellout at about 8,000, 9,000. I want to say, that's what I believe it's been the last couple of years in the games that we've called the sellout, and it's really trying to make a informed judgment on, will people in these general admission areas have a bad experience, even though like we have the true capacity to be able to take you on and have you in the ballpark, and we can legally do it. To be fair, if you're standing behind that batter's eye the whole game and you really wouldn't be able to move anywhere else because there's nowhere else to see the game, that's not a great experience for our fans or anybody that's even purchasing a general admission ticket at $5 to be able to come in and not have an experience where they could see much of the game. There's obviously circumstances where the game's really important and you might want to push the limit on that a little bit. But I think really in the 8-9, high 8, low 9,000 range is where we're most comfortable with having people in the ballpark and considering it a sellout. There are many occasions, Eli, where all of our seats are sold and we're just selling those general admission tickets. So that's kind of where you get to have that where you're kind of determining what's that magic number to make sure that we're not impacting all of our fans negatively by inviting another 600 or 700 people into the ballpark. So that's something that we have to think about on the business side on what makes sense. But you of course want to be ahead of it so you can just, cut off the ticket sales, announce that it's a sellout, and invite people to come out to another game.
Mm-hmm. You have alluded to it several times already about how successful the team was this past season on the field. The ultimate success, not only being the best team in the International League, but winning the the AAA National Championship itself in very dramatic fashion. Does that sort of thing have any sort of nudge anything when it comes to ticket sales in 2026 compared to just an ordinary year, because you can tout these accolades?
Yeah, from what we've seen so far, yes. I mean, the enthusiasm around the team is certainly much higher than I'd ever seen in previous years. And, I think generally speaking, and it's true that, minor league baseball as a whole, doesn't focus as much on the success of the team on the field. Probably first and foremost, they don't have any impact on it, which is true. Again, we are the fortunate recipients of having a very successful team in 2025. Again, it was nothing that we constructed or had anything to do with. So we're fortunate to benefit from it. But yeah, we've most certainly seen in our season ticket renewals and people that are interested in coming by the ballpark and purchasing something in the team store that might have the national championship logo and moniker on it. So we're certainly expecting to see more enthusiasm in the ballpark as we move into 2026. But it's not something that we plan for, and it's not something that we really factor too much in our strategy on trying to enhance the fan experience here at the ballpark, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's a good transition. One of the last questions I want to get with you on. You have 2 children, is that right?
I do.
Are they at the age where they go to a lot of Jumbo Shrimp games?
They're out here for, I'd say we have a 75 home game schedule. I'd say they probably come out to 10 or 12 of them. Yeah, 6 and 4, Knox and Lexi. So yeah, they come out probably 10 to 12 times a year. So they're a good handful for sure.
I'll say this carefully. Have you been able to use them effectively as to kind of test drive certain promotions or to get actual feedback on the fan experience from them? Have they helped in any way guide some of the decisions that you make to optimize that fan experience?
They're not shy to tell me what kind of ice cream they like and what kind of food they like and things like that. So I guess in the new role I'm in, maybe I want to be a little bit more cognizant of some of those things here. But they haven't impacted too much of the decision making yet. But their opinions are certainly clear and widely known when they have them. So we love having them out and getting them the chance to experience the game in the ballpark. They really enjoy just all the pomp and circumstance that I think that is around being at a Jumbo Shrimp baseball game. They love coming out and getting their face painted on a Sunday and running the bases after the game on a Sunday. We do Sunday Family Fun Day here at the ballpark, and that's the date where my kids tend to come out and enjoy. But when they run into Scampy and Southpaw, our mascots, they love getting a picture and giving them a hug and a high five and looking at the team store and all the different stuff. So they. I guess when you kind of put it that way, Eli, maybe I've never given it enough credit. They're kind of the ideal fan that we're looking for. They're the type of person that we're trying to please, because anytime I try to get them to sit down and watch an inning of the game, they're not too interested in that quite yet at 6 and 4 years old. But all those other things that are around it are their primary concerns. And they certainly are excited to come, see their dad at work and be part of the experience. And I hope that continues as they grow up and get the chance to see more and more Jumbo Shrimp games out here. But yeah, listening to them is certainly going to be a good idea as we move on, and we'll need to make sure that we consider not only their feedback, but a lot of our fans aren't shy to let us know what they think, and that's always a good thing for us. Sometimes you hear about things that can be improved, but that all helps us get better. So it's always good stuff to keep in mind. That's for sure.
One thing that I sped past that I want to touch on is that I know that in the past, when Marlins affiliates have won league championships, they actually receive championship rings of some kind.
Yeah.
Does that get extended to people in your position, or is it only players and coaches?
We collaborated with the Marlins on the rings and what they'd look like and who would get them and all of that. So the team's going to get them. Our front office staff members are going to have the chance to get them and everything like that. So I think everybody here on our staff already knows that. So that won't be a surprise if they end up checking out our interview. But yeah. So everybody on our end's obviously super excited at that, right? That's, no hyperbole. That's the crown jewel of working in sports, is being able to have one of those. So I'm proud to know that I'll get one, and that all of our team out here on our side will get them. And certainly the coaches and players, and Marlins personnel that deserve them most will get them as well. And we look forward to, I think we're planning on doing something down in Jupiter during spring training to issue them to the team. And hopefully our front office can be part of that in some small way, but we'll certainly be celebrating it in Jacksonville when the season starts too. So we'll be collaborating on how to make that impactful for not only the players, but our front office, and let our fans relish in it a bit too.
Okay. Last couple of things to get with you. Almost
Sure.
Maybe a week or two after your promotion was announced is when the sale of the team became final. The Jumbo Shrimp going previously owned by Ken Babby for about 10 years and now being sold to the Prospector Baseball Group. Both of the affiliates that Ken owns going in this transaction. He also owns one of the Cleveland Guardians affiliates, if I remember that correctly.
So Akron Rubber Ducks.
Right. So First, before talking about the new folks, I'm sure you got to know Ken quite a bit over these last 4.5 years or so. So he's now, for anyone that's unfamiliar, he's now part of the Tampa Bay Rays ownership group. He's their CEO. And for a guy that is still relatively young for somebody in that position, he could be years down the road. He could be one of the more influential businessmen in baseball eventually. So anything that you could tell us about Ken that you feel made him very successful with the shrimp? Anything in particular that you learned from him along your professional journey these last few years?
Oh man, I mean that'd be a 30-minute conversation on its own. Mm-hmm. Ken has been so impactful on everything that we've been doing here in Jacksonville over the 4.5 years that I've been here so far. Such a thought leader in helping us plan and devise these ballpark plans that we've done over the last few years. Hands-on, enthusiastic, somebody that really brought just so much energy and pride and positive ideas to the table to try and help us improve along the way. I know he's been a big part of the success and growth. He's been the driving force, along with Harold Craw, our GM too, that I'm filling his shoes of. So that's also going to move out to Tampa and work with Ken at the Rays. They've done so much for this franchise and for this community. It's hard to quantify it and put it all into a succinct thing to say, but I'm super proud to know Ken and had the chance to work for him for 4.5 years. And I learned so much about how to conduct myself and to work through tough situations and how to lead through important things that are happening, things that I hope have prepared me very well to now be the president and GM of the team as we sit here today. So I'm super proud of Ken and getting the chance to know him and all the things that they'll bring to Tampa. I know a lot of this is expected of him and his team over there now. They've been trying to get a stadium built for a long time, and I know he and the group that they're assembling over there are going to be the right crew to get that over the finish line and make things happen. So wishing them the best, and certainly always going to offer my assistance whenever it can be helpful and useful. But Ken, Harold, and the Fast Forward Sports Group were an ultimate pleasure to work with, and I learned so much from them and owe a lot too. So I'm very thankful for my time getting to know them and hopefully the continued relationship still beyond.
Mm-hmm. Have you had a chance to have any conversations with these new ownership folks at this point from Prospector Baseball Group? And could you actually put a name to this group that people might want to be familiar with moving forward? And if there's just any early indications in terms of things that they might want to change or things that they might want to keep the same with the franchise?
Sure. John Abamondi and Ben Boyer are kind of the two frontline leaders of Prospector Baseball. They've purchased us in Akron and the Lancaster Stormers as well. So they own the three teams now. I've certainly had a good chance over the last few weeks, month, maybe a little bit over a month, to get to know John and Ben very well, and they're very excited to now own the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp and those other clubs as well. They're certainly given us the impression that they're proud of the asset that they've acquired and wanted to continue down the positive path that it's already on. So that certainly was music to my ears, and I was thrilled to know that they thought that I would be the right type of guy to be able to lead this team moving forward. So they're interested in trying to make us as good as we can be to continue the fan experience that we have here and to continue to welcome people in Jacksonville and beyond to come out to Jumbo Shrimp baseball games and enjoy the experience that we've put on. They're certainly interested in helping us improve in many different ways. A few of which that we've talked about have been through the use of technology, which is really exciting to try and help make things easier and more efficient for our team here when we try to conduct business. And I know all of our front office staff is very excited at the opportunity ahead to work with John, Ben, and Prospector Baseball from this time moving forward. Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks here in me transitioning into the new role and knowing and the new ownership group taking over. But our team is super excited and ready to put our best foot forward and continue to deliver on the Jumbo Shrimp experience that I think most of our fans are accustomed to, and certainly, hopefully, the Marlins have seen from us. So we're expecting a lot of continuity there, and it's a really exciting time for us to move forward with Prospector into new things that we hope will elevate what we're doing currently into the best version that we've ever been.
Mm-hmm. I'll get you out of here on this last note, because heading into 2026, outside of Jumbo Shrimp games, you host plenty of events at VyStar Ballpark that are some sports related and even some otherwise. What are a few of them top of your head that you're really excited about and optimistic about outside of the regular games themselves?
We've got three pretty big events that'll be here this season. Obviously always actively seeing if anything else can fit it into our schedule. But a baseball tournament that'll be here in February that is that's going to have 4 different college teams: LSU, Notre Dame, Indiana, and UCF. They'll do kind of a round robin tournament here in the middle of February, hosted by Peak Events. So they'll be here. I believe it's called the Live Like Lou Classic, and February 20th through the 22nd, I believe, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All 4 of those teams will each play each other over those 3 days. So LSU, of course, coming off their College World Series championship, will be cool to have some other champions in the park this year too, playing ball. And then furthermore, we're going to have the Cosmic Baseball Tour here in mid-March. I believe that's the 19th through the 21st, and that's where they have a very unique experience where I think they play a little bit more of a traditional game at first, and then when it becomes nighttime, they actually turn black light on into the ballpark, and it becomes a glow-in-the-dark baseball game. So their jerseys are going to glow, the ball will glow, and it'll be a really cool, unique experience. I know the first 2 days of that have sold out, and I believe we've announced the third day on the 19th, and I think those tickets might be going on sale either today or sometime this weekend. So if you're looking to come out to one of those games, make sure you don't hesitate. And when that third game goes on sale, to grab it. And then a third one would be Banana Ball coming back to the ballpark. It's not the Savannah Bananas themselves, but I believe it's the Indianapolis Clown and the Loco Beach Coconuts. Two of their teams. They have 6 teams under the Savannah Bananas umbrella now. And July 2nd through 4th, they're going to be here at ViStar Ballpark. So we were at first a bit disappointed to learn that we wouldn't be hosting baseball on the 4th of July. That's something that typically in the minor leagues we had navigated in a way that either July 3rd or 4th you would host. But the way the calendar falls, it's a rotation year where one year you're going to have it, the next year you're not. Unfortunately, in 2026 was the year that we weren't, and you'll get it in 2027. It's just kind of how it's going to go. 60 other teams are dealing with that, but we were fortunate to be able to book a series with Banana Ball to be here, and we certainly at all 3 of those events. I know they're all baseball centric, but we're expecting to have great energy in the park and a lot of people to enjoy those and see a little bit something different than Jumbo Shrimp baseball here in Jacksonville, which is cool. But We've hosted unique events and movie nights and things like that on the field where people come out and see different movies that have recently come out. We typically charge people only $1 to come in, and they can sit on the field and watch a movie. And we're also we've had some unique events, like we recently had a 1,200 person Christmas party where we set up tables and chairs on the concourse so they could eat and drink and enjoy while they were celebrating their company holiday party. So we do a lot of unique stuff here at ViStar Ballpark, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more, especially since a lot of these renovations now are starting to become in the rearview mirror. We're excited to activate them and get as much from them as we can. But it'll be an exciting 2026 here, and those events will be fun. I'm sure there'll be others that'll come onto the calendar as well that our team are looking forward to taking on and bringing some additional excitement for the Jacksonville residents to be able to come out and enjoy.
All righty. Well, Matt, I learned a ton from this conversation. Cool. Thanks a lot for squeezing me in.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, congrats again on the promotion itself. The president, general manager of Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And as we have concluded, he can call himself a AAA national champion himself, because
that's right.
Above in the situation where you'll get a ring for that. So congrats on that.
I'll thank the Marlins for that. Thank you. They're the ones that made that happen.
A little bit of credit to the players and the coaches themselves and everybody else involved there. So yeah, this is great having you on the show. I appreciate all the updates and what you have moving forward. So yeah, good luck with the best of the off season. Good luck with the championship defense heading into 2026, and everything else that is going into the future of Jumbo Shrimp baseball. Longtime affiliate of the Marlins and expected to be affiliated with them for many years to come. So it's been it's been a lot of fun to cover and to watch, and I've heard good things about the players and everybody that has come through Jacksonville on their way up to Miami themselves. So yeah, just keep up the good work, Matt, and once again, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you, Eli. I look forward to seeing you at the ballpark this year.
We wrap up the show with my swim around the diamond, featuring 4 pieces of Marlins related content from outside of Fish on First that caught my attention, that I recommend to you. 4 representing first base, second base, third base, and home plate. You can find the links to each of these items in the episode description, the article page, wherever you're watching or listening to this. You'll be able to scroll down and follow directly so that you can check them out yourself. We start at first base with the manager of the Marlins, Clayton McCullough. On Friday, he was invited back to his alma mater, East Carolina University, to be their commencement speaker for their fall 2025 graduation. Nearly 1,800 students in attendance. McCullough gave an 11-minute speech, give or take, and I thought he killed it. I thought he did exactly what you expect from someone in that position. He was true to his nature. That's the most important thing, is just being yourself. He was very self-deprecating, talking about his struggles as a student. A long time it took for him to earn his degree. Even though he's kind of a high-profile figure as the manager of a Major League Baseball team, he recognized that the most valuable advice that he could impart was about fighting through adversity and being receptive to the advice that he received. Keep learning, he said. Keep growing. And he even referenced some lessons that the Marlins themselves employ when it comes to their organizational philosophy. So I thought he did a great job with this. You'll be able to listen to the whole thing, assuming that you weren't watching it live on Friday. It was a cool moment for McCullough to be honored that way by the university that put him on track to be initially a professional baseball player, and then soon after that, a professional coach. And for the last couple decades now, moving up the ranks to finally become the skipper of the Fish. On second base, fittingly, Marlins second baseman Xavier Edwards, he hosted his 8th annual baseball skills camp, the XE9 skills camp. As a guy that grew up in South Florida, he continues to hold that camp down in South Florida. And as he explains, he originally had about 18 kids, 18 total campers the first year of the event when he had just become a minor leaguer. And now it has grown to over 200 campers. It includes guest instructors from all around Major League Baseball, including current Marlins teammates like Anthony Bender, Braxton Garrett, Tyler Phillips. It included and it include guys from across the majors, including Jesus Luzardo and others from other teams, most of whom are based in South Florida themselves. So it's no heavy lifting for them, just to be there for the kids, to teach them a thing or two, to have a good time. Christina De Nicola of MLB.com, she wrote up the specifics about how the camp has grown to its current size and what X is trying to achieve by continuing to host it and continuing to make it accessible for youth players in the area. So good job by Edwards to get that going. On to third base, Marlins Maniac is doing a series highlighting the best Marlins to wear particular jersey numbers, with Marlins entering their 34th season of franchise history. Sean Millerick is counting down from the number 34 all the way to the number 1, a couple articles a week throughout the rest of the offseason. And a very clever way to appreciate Marlins history, to share it with those that aren't already familiar with some of these key figures that came along during the previous few decades of the franchise's existence. So I thought he's covered just a few of them so far as of this recording: number 34, number 33, number 32, and the countdown will continue at Marlin Maniac. And we go home with the same place where we started this show, Edward Cabrera. He was on the Premier Out podcast that's recorded in the Dominican Republic, gave them more than an hour of his time, kind of going through his whole history as a professional baseball player, and even before that. So it's in Spanish completely. Thanks to YouTube, they do provide automatic translations, or I should say an automatic transcript in English. It's not perfect, but for guys like myself, it helped me more than enough to follow along and get an idea in terms of what topics they were covering here, starting with how he signed with the Marlins in the first place, how he had offers from the Milwaukee Brewers, from the Colorado Rockies. I think he got especially close to signing with the Rockies before that deal didn't go through. Winded up with the Marlins, how quickly he added velocity once he got some proper coaching. And once he started focusing on pitching full time. He used to have a strong interest in hitting, even when he started at the beginning of his pro career, but that quickly changed. And he goes through his whole process of developing in this organization, having the big year that he did in 2025, how he deals with trade rumors, his interest in pitching in the World Baseball Classic. It was a very thoughtful conversation and very lively conversation. I think four guys in all just chopping it up about various topics. So I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good look inside Cabrera's mind for a guy that usually is not all that eager to speak with the media, but in this comfortable environment, he really unloaded on a lot of different subjects that I think Marlins fans are, whether he stays or goes, I guess, especially if he stays, you guys will get a lot out of this. And that's still a possibility despite all the rumors that are out there. So there we go. I'll have the links to all those in the description if you haven't checked those out on your own. And that's going to do it here from the official show. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the program as we get close to the end of this year in the midst of this Marlins off season. We are presented by Jet Ski Rentals of South Florida, and that will continue to be the case for all of our audio programming on this channel moving forward. So check them out and treat yourself to a great time this holiday season, and all sorts of fun adventures on the water through Jet Ski Rentals of South Florida. Thanks for your support, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get it. Let us know that you're listening and that you're enjoying what we're talking about. And as always, you're welcome to leave comments with all your ideas about how the Marlins should proceed with the rest of this offseason and into a very consequential 2026 season. I'll talk to you again soon. As always, go fish.